sunny skies, beautiful blue sky here in Jackson Hole, but are there storm clouds ahead? We'll find out soon.
I thought it was about as expected. I think the markets found it a little more hawkish than they expected, but it was about where I thought. He emphasized the number of upside risks. He was very clear that the options are staying put or hiking more. There's no rate cuts anytime soon. He was very clear that, once again, that 2% means 2% target. I think there's still a bit of a tension there because he didn't deal with the fact that basically he's saying it is going to take us a year or two to get to 2%, and they're not in a hurry, which is good, but saying that at the same time you say the target is 2% is a little weird. He left out a lot of discussion of the labor market. He usually talks more about the labor market, and he didn't mention at all financial instability.
Yes, that's right.
He didn't, I mean, as far as I recall, he didn't mention it at all, which again I think is probably right, but it's a bit of a surprise, I think, to people. I think it's about 2/3 likely, 65%, that they're going to end up hiking twice more before stopping. So probably once in November and probably once more in December or January. And so they'll stop 50 basis points higher than here. I think there's a, call it 15% chance that inflation will go up more than it currently is, and Powell talked about the risks that it might, that either growth stays too strong or labor markets get tighter, in which case they'll have to raise more than that, and you'll get a recession in 2024. And I think there's about a 10% chance, meaning very small, that you'll get a recession without more inflation and higher. They'll have to cut rates. That's basically if the people who say there are still lagged effects hitting the U.S. economy from the previous monetary policy. That's the scenario where they're right. I don't put very much weight that that's going to happen. I think the BOJ is in an okay position with respect to the yen right now because of two things. First, they established it's a two-way bet by doing the small move up in the yield curve control and saying they might raise the short end, but they haven't yet. I don't think it's all the pressure is weaker yet. I also think the slowdown in China is likely going to result in some appreciation of yen against renminbi, and probably, not certainly, but probably that will weaken yen against dollar, just because of the flows. So I think yen is on a path to weaken a little or to largely be flat based on my forecast. It's still mostly under the BOJ's control. If they move more on yield curve control or they move more on the short end, they can drive the yen up. But if they don't do that, it'll probably be flat. Right now, I think people had already priced in the idea that the Fed is going to stop roughly here or go a little higher. So if I'm right, they go 25 basis points or maybe 37 basis points higher than what the market's currently priced. That's not going to make a very big difference. rates. Meanwhile, the medium-term risk for BOJ is mostly to the upside on rates, right? So even if they're calm about changing yield curve control, the target a year or 2 years from now is probably going to be higher than it is now. Even if they're waiting to see wages get stronger, probably the short rate, the policy rate's going to be higher a